Hey guys, it's JQ Crafty. We are on day 21 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. It's her 6th time doing this. Everybody that is playing along, because there's been a lot of us, is down below. Everybody's linked down below, at least that I was notified of. Go to Christy's channel. There will be a playlist of every single sketch this time and everybody who's played along. And there's a Facebook group. So if you play along, you can actually add your layout to it the past 6 times that she's done this. She's got albums for each time. And then you can go see all the other layouts and then play with them if you want. So it's just a fun thing. It's just 30 Days of Sketches with Christy. I actually have it linked down below as well. Today, first of all, let me say it. There have been so many great grid layouts sketches in this group, and I love me a good grid sketch or grid layout. I am going to change this one just a tiny bit. It's still going to look grid-like, but I have some bigger photos, and so I'm going to show you how I'm going to adapt this sketch to have my bigger photos, and we're just going to have bigger spots and smaller spots, and it's just going to be more dynamic and not just all tiny photos. So these are the last set of photos. I'm going to do a full 12 by 12 spread of my son's first Halloween. He was the big boy, and we even got him, it was a dog toy. It's a cheeseburger. We even got him that to carry around. If you've never seen a big boy, I will, I'll put a picture of it right here. So I'm going to do a layout about this, and then I have a few pictures left over from it. I'm just going to do a pocket page to go with it for the rest of those, but let's get started. Oh, and before I go, I think I'm going to use up the rest of the paper issues kit that I used for, I think, day 18 and 19. I'm going to use up more of that because there's pieces left. There's no 12 by 12 left. There's one piece of white cardstock that came in it. So I think I'm just going to use everything that's in that. And then all the other pages have been kind of including the things in that kit. So I think we're going to get. All right, let's get started.
Woohoo! I can't believe we're already on day 21. This is crazy. So there's not many days left. So first I'm just going to get my white cardstock all set, and then I'm going to pick out what pattern papers I want to use for the grid. So now they have 8 little 2 by 2 squares. Well, my photos are a little bit bigger, so mine are actually going to end up being 3 by 4. So it ends up being close. Like they're still going to be the 4. It's still going to have the 8 inches tall total, but I'm just going to have less squares. So then I'm going to do, I'm going to do 2 photos that are 3 by 4, and then my squares are going to be 3 by 3. So then it all balances out, and they will all still look like the grid, just a little bit bigger. And my math is off. It won't be 8 total. It'll be 10. Yeah, 10 inches tall. Either way, it's still 2 lines, and then I'm cutting all of those, and then I'm going to take so it looks funny that I'm like, so when I'm using that little trimmer, it looks like I'm going kind of out of my way to be to do things like the most backwards way ever. But this trimmer is one of those, like, if you do not have it pressed up against that top, for some reason, it does not cut straight. I'm still adamant that I think one of the reasons that I can make nothing straight is actually nothing cut straight. And I have watched my new rotary trimmer cut things at an angle. I've watched it happen. Like the blade goes wonky. I've watched it. And I've watched that guillotine trimmer also cut things not straight. And I've also seen that the plastic or whatever, the actual cutter itself, like the base, is not straight. So my crookedness all stems from the manufacturers. I'm adamant about that. So I went ahead and also trimmed down that lovely like gingham plaid paper, and I cut it in half because it wasn't quite long enough to kind of span across behind my photo, and I'm going to make it into a tag. But I'm going to ink all the edges of all my squares and even my photos before I glue them down, and then I'm going to start gluing them down. And then after I kind of get them lined up and figure out where I'm putting everything, I'm going to take this other stamp. It's a similar stamp that I used a couple layouts ago from the same set. This one is just like dots, and they're all kind of varying dots. So I'm doing that instead of the ink. And I realize now that the sketch actually has it just kind of top to bottom on the same side, but I angled it, so it's more of a diagonal design there. I could add more to go under the tag. Oh, and there's my head. Sorry about that. Had to get that lined up. So got all those glued down, and see, I made that a nice long tag, and the pattern was able to line up, which is awesome. And my photo is going to cover the seam, so it's not going to matter that I did that. I'm going to pop up that main bigger photo on some foam, and then mat it on some more of that orange, and then ink that up and place that down. I am realizing like my stamping is there's like a gap there, so I am gonna go back right here and stamp, and I bend my photo a little bit, but I'm able to glue it down, so it works out. It's okay. The photo does survive. I popped up the top of my tag too. I like to do that, pop up the top of it so that it kind of lifts. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so now I'm just going through the rest of that ephemera that is in the Autumn Splendor collection from Simple Stories from last year. I really, really like all the stuff that's in there. And even though it's kind of like an off-white base, it doesn't matter to me. It all still really goes. There's this cute little ticket stub, or not ticket stub, like, it almost looks like a library card, actually. I'm not sure what it is, but it's a tiny little note that's going to go there. And then I'm going to layer some pumpkins and pop some of up on foam and make sure I ink them all as well. Just using my Black Soot Distressed ink. I really like that one for inking edges the most. I had put everything down without inking it, so I cut out most of that so you guys could not have to watch me suffer pulling things up and putting them back on. And then I'm going to ink around the entire edge. But I really like this. I love grid layouts because you can do so many things. It's like I adapted it very easily for me, and you could adapt it very easily for you, and you could do no photos in the grid. I just love them. They're just awesome. But once again, I will have all those things linked down below that I talked about, just adding the date, the year in those orange stickers down there. It kind of blends in, kind of stands out, but doesn't stand out too much. And then I'm just going to journal about how I made his costume and how good he was about letting me curl the front curl of his forehead. But thanks again for watching, you guys. Check out everybody else who's playing along, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.